Right then guys, it is PSL here for the 34th episode in my Stewart Manager career mode on Grand Prix World, and crucially, it's the final episode in the 2002 season. Hopefully, this will be the episode that Stewart win a championship. The Constructors' Championship, that's quite unlikely to be honest. I mean, it's still mathematically possible that we could beat Ferrari, but unlikely. The Drivers' Championship, that's what we're gunning for. Frentzen, he's on 70 points. 8 more than Moreira, 9 more than Fisichella. On pace alone, I reckon Frentzen can do it. I mean, he would have to have uncharacteristically bad performances to drop 8 points to Moreira. It's certainly possible, but I honestly think unlikely. What is more likely, and this is what terrifies me, is what if we have a mechanical issue? Because if Frentzen doesn't win a race, Moreira is incredibly likely to, and even if he doesn't, Fisichella would. So we are not immune from a retirement. If Wirtz retires, so be it, but if Frentzen retires, that could well be championship over. Now actually, speaking of Wirtz retiring, I've mentioned throughout the course of this season that Wirtz has been unluckier, but also worse in terms of retirement. I've got some stats. Frentzen, this season he has retired twice. Once was a driver error, once was a mechanical issue, a gearbox failed on him. Alexander Wirtz, this season he has retired 7 times. 7 times. 4 of them were mechanical issues, brakes, engine, hydraulics and engine again, so 2 engine failures, a hydraulics and a brakes issue. Now this is the thing is, our technology components are fairly reliable. I actually suspect we've probably got the most reliable car on the grid because our technology components across the board are pretty reliable. But this is the thing, Wirtz has had 2 engine failures. But you can do the maths, that means 7 retirements total, 4 of them mechanical issues. That means 3 of his retirements have been his personal mistake. 2 of them listed as driver and 1 of them as accident, whatever the distinction between those 2 is. I mean, the fact of the matter is 3 of them were human error in whatever form, 4 of them mechanical error. So I mean, Wirtz has been unlucky. He's had 4 times as many mechanical issues as Frentzen. That's unlucky no matter which way you cut it. That is bitterly unlucky. But Wirtz has also had 3 times as many driver errors. So I'll be heading into the second to last race in the season with 2 improvements to the car. One's an improved performance technology component. It's minor. Technology improvements are fairly minor. So we have got a slightly better car in that sense, but actually in real terms we have got a massively improved car because this will be the first race this season where we'll be running with a 78% rated chassis. We're actually 1 race late in using it because, well, it was a mistake on my part. I forgot to move on to the next stage of development, which delayed the development of this upgrade by 1 race. So actually we should have run the 78% chassis in the previous round, but that was Monza, so arguably wouldn't really have helped us much. Plus anyway, we did quite well at Monza, so no regrets. But we're going to be even better than ever. Yes, perhaps behind the scenes the other teams could well have improved. Ferrari, I mean, that's the one I'm really worried about, but certainly I know for a fact we're heading into this round with 2 upgrades, 1 minor, 1 major. So hopefully the Luxembourg Grand Prix at the Nürburgring, that can go well for us. It depends how you define well, I suppose. Frentzen 3rd, that's good in isolation, but Fisichella 1st. Fisichella theoretically isn't our biggest threat, but I mean there's only 1 point difference between Fisichella and Moreira, and Moreira's only 4th anyway. He beat Wirtz. That doesn't fill me with confidence, but again it's only qualifying. The races often, not always but can, it's not uncommon for the races to play out totally differently. Esteban Tuero second. I mean, I would be surprised if he finishes in second. He beat Damon Hill in qualifying. That's... I mean, does it mean anything? Realistically, does it actually mean anything? Michael Schumacher in 6th, Damon Hill 7th, Mika Hakkinen 8th. Actually, I didn't mention this when I was showing the championship standings screen, but Mika Hakkinen, who of course came in partway through this season because Ron Dennis had enough of David Coulthard, got rid of him, brought in Mika Hakkinen. Mika Hakkinen already this season has scored more points than David Coulthard did. Hakkinen's done far fewer races. To be fair, a good chunk of the races he has done have been wet races, and Hakkinen is a wet weather specialist, so that probably skews the comparison a bit. Eddie Irvine throughout this season has been mightily impressive for Minardi, but it's only recently he started scoring points. I think Minardi might have brought in some car upgrades, but then again, why is Irvine, you know, how's he been able to utilise him but Collard not? I assume Collard's in 14th, because if he's any lower than that, that's embarrassing. He is 14th. Then you've got both Arrows, Trulli for Prost, then both Saubers, Nakano and the other Prost, and then, well, Jordan. This is why Eddie Jordan has won the Worst Manager of the Month award 6 times this year. Look at that. 123.4, 123.6. Everyone else is in the... Well, it's only actually Herbert and Nakano in the 122s. It's only Trulli and Sarrazin in the 121s. It's only the Arrows that are in the 1 minute 20s. Everyone else is sub 120. It must be so embarrassing to be one of these bottom 4 teams. Arrows are sort of respectable, almost. To be fair, I actually think Minardi have improved a lot. I think that's what skewed it, is Minardi and Tyrrell have improved a massive amount. The other top teams are still at the top, and it's just opened up a massive chasm because Arrows are the top of the back 4 teams, but that's really not saying much. Prost and Sauber have gone downhill, Prost have done nothing, and Jordan have totally lost it. Oh, now that's a twist. A heavy rain race. I didn't fully prepare because I wasn't expecting it to rain for this Grand Prix. I knew it was possible, but certainly, you know, I wouldn't have put money on it. But a heavy rain race. I did put a couple of setup points for both of my drivers, a couple of setup points into preparing for a wet race, just in case it happened to be wet. But, you know, that was only making the car slightly better. I think it's 6 out of 10 in terms of rain preparedness, if that's a term. Certainly I just wanted to get it over the halfway mark. But this almost certainly rules Moreira out of scoring points. Hopefully, I would be staggered if he scores points. Fisichella is still a very real threat. But let's not forget, yes, I'm talking doom and gloom and I'm being very pessimistic about Fisichella and Moreira potentially overtaking Frentzen in the championship, but it is entirely possible that Frentzen could win the Drivers' Championship right here, right now. He's done it! Oh, actually, no, hang on. Damon Hill, the winner of the 2002 Luxembourg Grand Prix, 10 points to him. Alexander Wirtz, second place to him, 6 points. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, 3rd place, that's 4 points. Fisichella, 4th place, that's 3 points. Now that's very interesting. Moreira is definitely out of it. Fisichella is now exactly 10 points behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen. So, if Fisichella were to win the next Grand Prix and Frentzen not to score any points, it would come down to position countback, number of race wins, number of second place finishes. And in that scenario, I don't know who would win. Although I suspect Frentzen actually, because Moreira, often when Ferrari win, it's a Moreira race win. Mika Hakkinen, a rain specialist, 5th place. But that just speaks to how bad the McLaren is. Awful. Mika Salo 6th for Tyrrell, that is... Well, it's a point for Tyrrell, and a point for Tyrrell, that still feels weird to say, even though it's kind of common at this point. Eddie Irvine for Minardi nearly scored a point. Both of them beat Moreira. Then you got Takaki, Montemini, Trulli, Collard, Rosset. It's only just occurred to me that Michael Schumacher hasn't finished the race, nor was the other Williams driver. So actually, Tuero, we never got to see whether Tuero would have finished ahead of Damon Hill, but I doubt it would have been likely. Yet Tuero out due to an accident, Johnny Herbert a driver mistake, Rainbow Hydraulics let him down, but Michael Schumacher, an accident. Michael Schumacher, the highest rated driver in the game, a wet weather specialist, and not only did he retire, he was the first one to retire, and not only did he retire early on in the race, he retired early on in the race due to a personal mistake. Yeah, exactly as I thought. Heinz-Harald Frentzen 74 points, Fisichella 64 points. Frentzen should have won it. I'm not going to say officially he has, but he's basically won it. I think race wins would go in his favour. I'm not sure if this game does it by position count back. It should do, but if it were to go by the number of race wins, number of second place finishes, Frentzen, I believe, would come out on top. Actually, I've only just noticed Damon Hill 4th in the standings. He's only 2 points behind Moreira. Well, there you go. If every single race this season was wet, Damon Hill probably would have won the championship. I think there's no doubt about it actually, because Damon Hill has been the undisputed king this season in wet races. Schumacher's been good, Häkkönen's been good, or reasonably good anyway, for the limited time he's been about this season, but if it's a wet race, Damon Hill almost always wins. It's official. Ferrari are the 2002 Constructors' Champions. Okay, I've just unearthed quite a few interesting things. So far this season, Frentzen has won 3 Grand Prix, Fisichella 2. So, if Frentzen were to not score any points in the final round of the season and Fisichella were to win, they both have the same amount of race wins. It would then come down to second place finishes. I haven't checked that out, so it actually theoretically could be incredibly close. Also, I said that I thought that generally speaking so far this season, when Ferrari had won a race, Moreira generally was the one who won it. That's true, Moreira's won 4 races this season, Fisichella 2. So actually, Moreira's won more races than Frentzen. But I'll tell you who's won the most amount of races this season, Damon Hill. 5 race wins this season, and not all of them were in the wet. The Hungarian Grand Prix, he won that, and that was a dry race. Genuinely impressive. The only other driver to have won a Grand Prix this season is Michael Schumacher, and he's got a single race win. So actually, it should be, if you're going based purely on race wins, and of course actually, Bernie Ecclestone wanted to do this in real life in 2010? 9? It was just before the new point system was introduced in Formula 1, 25 points for a win, 18 per second, so on and so forth. Bernie Ecclestone wanted to introduce a medal system. I mean, that's effectively what it was. It was like the Olympic medal system where basically the driver who won the championship was the driver who had the most amount of gold medals. Effectively, the driver who won the most amount of races. And if we were going on Bernie Ecclestone's medal system, Damon Hill would more or less be guaranteed to be the champion this season. Actually, no. Well, yes, in as much as all Moreira can do is tie for race wins, but then it would come down to second place finishes, and honestly, I would suspect, although I could be wrong, but I would suspect that Moreira's got more second place finishes or silver medals as it would be than Damon Hill. So actually, no matter what system you're going on, whether it be the standard 10 points for a win, 6 for second, so on and so forth, or Bernie Ecclestone's medal system, which never came to fruition, regardless of whichever system you do, heading into the final round, it would be a genuinely, potentially close championship battle were race wins to go in the favour of the person who's currently losing the championship, which actually, in either case, is a Ferrari driver. Peter Sauber has been named the least effective manager in F1 for the second time this season, and Frank Williams, for the 4th time this season, has been named the best F1 manager. This is unlike Max Mosley to be this kind to us. Approved another driver aid. We've actually been on a bit of a streak of the FIA approving driver aids, but we've now got a level 2 of every one of the driver aids, whether that be active suspension, automatic gears, power brakes, or traction control. We've got a level 2 system for all of them. This may well be a bad idea because surely there is no way we're going to have 4 rain-affected races in a row. Surely not, but that's what I'm banking on. We're heading to Suzuka. It's likely to rain here, certainly not guaranteed, but surely we can't have another rain-affected race. I have been so lucky, honestly, I've been so lucky in this final part of the season, but then again it does make up for a certain degree of bad luck earlier on this season. Well, actually, no, it's just the middle 8 races, because actually earlier on in this video when I was talking through the retirements we had, of course 7 for Wirtz and 2 for Frentzen, I didn't mention this slightly odd fact. None of those retirements came in the first 4 races of the season. So actually in the first 4 races, in terms of reliability alone, we were quite lucky, although pace-wise less so, because Moreira won 2 of the first 4 races this season, so pace-wise less lucky, but you know, certainly reliability-wise very lucky. And here we are at the final 4 races of the season, the final quarter of this season, and weather-wise we're getting incredibly lucky, so hopefully it can be a wet Japanese Grand Prix. I'm certainly banking on it, although honestly all Frentzen needs to do is finish inside the top 6. And since pace-wise he's almost certainly going to do it anyway, realistically all Frentzen needs to do is finish. Yeah, do you know what? This is fair. This effectively summarises the entire season. Fisichella, pole position, Frentzen 2nd. Fisichella and Frentzen ahead of their teammates, although Moreira at the start of this season was the much better driver. Fisichella has come into his own a bit of late, although that's certainly largely down to weather. But then again, qualifying, Fisichella yet again has beaten Moreira. Frentzen yet again has beaten Wirtz. Hakkinen way better than Rainbow. Rainbow down in 12th. Damon Hill in 7th, he's beaten Tuero, although by 0.02 of a second. Irvine's definitely improved this season. Minardi as a whole potentially have actually. Collard in 13th, so 14th was, yep, of course, the usual. Yep. That's why I knew something didn't quite make sense. I knew someone qualified out of position. Solo, well, potentially he didn't qualify out of position because realistically he didn't qualify. He may well have set a lap time. Well, actually, that would be hilarious. That would be hilarious if Mika, Salo and Tyrrell rocked up, enter qualifying, and then the FIA, before they even have a chance to leave the garage, the FIA go, hang on, that's an illegal car. And then they do no running all weekend. That would be hilarious were that to be the case. I suspect in actuality Salo set a lap time and then the FIA just removed it. Well, this is novel, a dry race. We haven't seen one of them in a while. Oh, what a near perfect way to end off the season. Heinz-Harald Frentzen has won the 2002 Japanese Grand Prix and with it, the 2002 Drivers' Championship. Fisichella so near yet so far, both in terms of the championship. Genuinely, congratulations to Giancarlo Fisichella. Hugely commendable season. Yet, he didn't win the championship nor the Grand Prix. Just 1.6 seconds behind Heinz-Harald Frentzen, but 1.6 seconds is 1.6 seconds. Fisichella, 2nd place, both in the championship and the 2002 Japanese Grand Prix. Alexander Wirtz, it's been a pretty poor season, but 3rd in the final round. And with it, Alexander Wurz has beaten Michael Schumacher in the Drivers' Championship. Tuero 4th, Moreira 5th, so actually a dry race did mean that Moreira was put back into contention for points, but it was the first dry race in a while and Moreira only finished 5th. 5th with what was probably until recently, genuinely in fact actually potentially only until the start of this episode, what was the better car. I genuinely think Ferrari had a better car until the start of this episode. It was that chassis upgrade that finally put us over the line. Moreira was still beaten by Tuero though, and that's embarrassing, although on paper Tuero's a better driver than Moreira, so I mean Moreira has been by far and away the biggest surprise this season, winning races early on, leading the championship for a large part of the season. Yes, he bottled it, but I was about to defend him. I was going to say yes, but they were wet Grand Prix. But then again, I mean, I don't really think you're suitable for Formula 1 if you're pretty competitive on a dry track but useless on a wet track. You're not really cut out for Formula 1, and yes, there is a massive difference between the likes of Frentzen and Fisichella, who are reasonable on a damp track, and then the likes of Michael Schumacher, Mika Hakkinen and Damon Hill, who are amazing on the wet track. There is a massive difference, and that's fine, but to be as bad as Moreira was on the wet track, that's not really championship worthy, but it would have been hilarious to no end had he won the championship. There is a part of me that kind of wishes Moreira did, and if it was an entirely dry season, genuinely, I think he would have done. Michael Schumacher, the guy who's won the past 3 Drivers' Championships in this career mode, I bet he's ruining that choice to go back to Benetton because Ferrari were plainly the better team, and if Michael Schumacher was still at Ferrari, we'd probably be talking about a 4-time champion in this game alone. So realistically, Michael Schumacher would be a 6-time world champion. But he went to Benetton, and you know what? I am eternally glad, because were it not for that, I think the combination of Michael Schumacher and Ferrari would not have been beaten until we got an 80% rated chassis. Pierre Rainbow, the highest finishing McLaren driver, I suspect the only McLaren driver to make the end. Let's have a look. Well, actually, wow, Ricardo Rosset disqualified. Who knows where he finished? Unlikely to have been in the points, especially since Jan Magnussen was down in 12th, but 3 brake failures. A Lacey, brake failure. Damon Hill, brake failure. Mika Hakkinen, brake failure. 2 amazing drivers, both missed out on the opportunity of scoring points due to their brakes failing. Laurent Redon out due to an accident. To be honest, he may as well have pulled over anyway. He's driving a Jordan. He's got no chance. Actually, double Jordan retirement. Honestly, why did Eddie Jordan even bother turning up to any races this season? It was blatantly apparent after the first couple of races that Jordan had absolutely screwed up. I just give up. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, 2002 Formula 1 World Champion. Fisichella 14 points back, Moreira 20 points back. Weirdly enough, I think Moreira has actually earned his keep in Formula 1. He's going to be hanging around for a while. Well, Pierre Rainbow will be, and Rainbow's done nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. But Rainbow's contracted, I think, until the end of 2005, maybe the end of 2006. Rainbow's going to be hanging around for ages, unless Ron Dennis just gets rid of him. Well, let me go down to it. Damon Hill, 4th place in the championship. Brilliant end to the season to be only 4 points behind Moreira. Only 10 behind Fisichella. Only 24 away from the top. Williams have not produced that great of a car. Tuero there is pro 15 points. I know Tuero's not amazing, but he is at least a comparison, and Tuero's only scored 15 points. Montemini, similarly skilled, he scored 5 more points in the Tyrrell. Point being, Williams have not produced an amazing car this season, but Damon Hill did absolutely everything he could. 60 points. Alex Wurz, 5th in the championship. I know I've given him a bad rap, and kind of rightly so. He's finished 49 points behind his teammate, and I know mechanical issues go some way to explaining that, but by no means all the way. Frentzen has been the definite better driver, but Wirtz, very strong end to the season. He's beaten Michael Schumacher. Not bad. Not amazing, far from amazing, but it's been a okay season with a lot of bad luck sprinkled in. To be fair though, and I'll say it again, Alex Wirtz has beaten 3-time world champion in this career mode alone, Michael Schumacher. Andrea Montemini, 7th in the championship, 20 points, brilliant season. Tuero in 8th, respectable. Mika Hakkinen, the super sub, midway through the season, came in, saved McLaren. Well, I say saved McLaren, I don't actually think McLaren have benefited from having Hakkinen in. It was too little too late. I think they're still in the same place in the Constructors' Championship. But Hakkinen outscored David Coulthard by 3 points. And Hakkinen did far fewer races. David Coulthard tied on points with Mika Salo. Eddie Irvine, 7 points, 12th in the championship. Phenomenal season. Only 15 points behind in the end. That is not bad. Really not bad at all. Bearing in mind, in previous seasons, Ferrari have been untouchable. Williams the definitive third best team, way ahead of Benetton. And on paper, at the start of the season, I thought Benetton and Williams were comparable. They've got many similarities, but quite a big difference in the end. Williams 75 points, Benetton 34. Benetton only beat Tyrrell by 6 points. McLaren 6th place, 9 points behind Tyrrell. That's embarrassing, surely. For Ron Dennis, that's embarrassing. Yes, if they had Mika Hakkinen the entire season, they possibly could have beaten Tyrrell. If they had Mika Hakkinen and David Coulthard all season, they almost certainly would have beaten Tyrrell. But, I mean, Ron Dennis, serious questions have got to be asked, because he's made some baffling decisions both leading into the season and during the season. And he was outscored by Tyrrell by 9 points. In 1998, McLaren were the team to beat. Here we are just a few seasons later and McLaren have been beaten by Tyrrell. I'll say it one last time, Minardi. What a brilliant season this was for them. They started the season stronger than I expected and improved throughout the season. A spellbinding effort by everyone at Minardi to take the team to where they are now, but a special shout out to Eddie Irvine, because Collard was good, he was, a safe pair of hands, but Eddie Irvine got the team into the points on multiple occasions. Genuinely phenomenal feat from everyone at the team. Oh, Ron Dennis, least effective manager in F1. That's off the back of the Japanese Grand Prix. That's not for the entire season, but that's a new name to add to the list, and I suspect that's the only time in this career mode to date he's been named the least effective manager in Formula 1. Maybe not, but certainly that is rare. And Jean Todt, of course, best F1 manager, not surprised, and actually, I am surprised, why not me? Well, it's because the game never likes to give me the best F1 manager award, but surely, actually no, Jean Todt's going to win this, isn't he? Because yes, I won the Drivers' Championship, but he won the Constructors' Championship. Yep. Jean Todt, Formula 1 Manager of the Year. Eddie Jordan, totally unsurprisingly and completely deservedly, was named the worst manager in 2002. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will be a bit different because similarly to how my Grand Prix Manager 2 series ended, where once I won the championship, I went from live commentated episodes to scripted season review type videos, and that's how this series is going to carry on. I'll definitely do the 2003 season. After then, who knows? I'm just going to keep going until it stops getting interesting, but I will definitely do the 2003 season minimum, because that's going to be our title defense season. We're going to see if Heinz-Harald Frentzen can retain his Drivers' Championship, or maybe Alex Wirtz Maybe he'll be the 2003 Drivers' Champion. I may well do the 2004, 5, 6 seasons, who knows. Honestly, I have no idea how far I'll go. I'll just keep going until it stops getting interesting for whatever reason, but there's still loads that can potentially happen. There's still loads of drivers who can move to all sorts of improbable teams. There's suppliers that can come and go. There's all sorts that can still happen, but we'll see how far I go. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next episode when I'll be starting off the 2003 season.